Should you buy a Nikon C50 to make YouTube videos like this one? This video has been recorded in 4K, so it should give you an idea of the overall quality you should expect from the Nikon C50 and the kit lens. Overall, this should help you decide whether this is for you or not. I'm going to speak about the pros, the neutral, and the cons that I've found while using the Nikon C50 for video content creation. This should help you decide whether the Nikon C50 is the camera you should buy for making YouTube videos and content creation. Let's get to it. Let's start with the cons. The flip down screen. You can't use your flip down screen if you mount the camera on a tripod. For a YouTuber, that's a no-go. You can't use it in one of these mini tripods like this one from Manfrotto, but only if you buy the SmartRig cage. And even if you buy that cage, it really is a pain to use it. I bought it and I sent it back. What's the problem? So for you to use the flip down screen in a mini tripod, the camera is gonna be offset to one side, so then you end up holding your tripod, if you're vlogging, oddly on the side. I really dislike that, and you may like it or not, that's up to you. And then to add insult to injury, when you have the SmartRig cage mounted on the camera, you cannot see the rec indicator, so you don't know whether you're recording or not, and so every time you have to flip back up the screen to see whether you're recording or not, whether you press a button or not. For a YouTuber, all this means that you have to buy an external monitor, because otherwise there is no way you can see yourself while recording. And I think that's a fantastic feature to have if you are into video content creation. So let's say that you go and buy an external monitor the way I did. You have now fixed one problem but created another one. But we'll speak about that later on. Let me finish talking about the flip down screen. Now let's say you intend to use the C50 for vlogging. You're gonna find out real soon how the lens, even though it's small, it will still block the flip down screen when you're vlogging. It's just not comfortable, because usually when you're vlogging, you hold your camera a little bit higher than your face is, and what happens is the lens is gonna block the screen. It really is annoying. Now let's go back to the external monitor issue. It just happens that Nikon cameras, at least the C50 and for that matter the C6 and 7 as far as I'm aware, only output HDMI clean signal. What that means for a YouTuber is that you're going to be missing your on-screen display information, and there is no way to change that. So if I now look at my external monitor, I don't know if I'm recording or not, I don't know if the audio levels are right, I don't know anything, because I don't have the freaking on-screen display information displayed on my external monitor, like other cameras do, like the Sony a6400 for example. And there is no way you can change that in the options. Trust me, I looked everywhere and there's just no options for that. That's a pain. I don't know whether Nikon will change that in a future firmware update. As for now, this is what it is, and it really sucks big time. Every single time I have to stand up, go and check whether I'm recording or not, because as you know, sometimes you go and press your button, but the camera doesn't register the command and it's not recording, and there's no way for you to know it. I just look at the screen, all I see is myself talking, that's all. So you don't want to end up talking and making your videos for an hour or whatever time you're gonna spend, and only at the end find out that you didn't record anything. It's just ultimately annoying, trust me. This camera has a 30 minutes record limit. What does that mean? Since I cannot see the counter on the screen because it is not displayed, every single time I have to put a timer on my phone. This is a problem because every time you're recording, you need to remember one extra step. And if you forget, again, you may end up talking to a camera that is not recording, like it happened to me, and I had to find out the hard way. So this is why having the on-screen display information properly displayed on your external monitor is useful. And by the way, the Sony a6400 does not have a record limit. The only record limit is your SD card or your battery, and if you buy a dummy battery, then you're good to go. And this brings me now to the next complaint, which is the battery. As of the time I'm recording this video, there are no second-party batteries for the Nikon C50. That means If you're lucky to find one, you can only buy the original Nikon battery, and that means in the UK at least minimum £50 for one spare battery. And if you wonder about dummy batteries, which is crucial as well for YouTubers, there are no dummy batteries as of the time I'm recording this video. So how about using a power bank, you may be wondering? Well, you can only use a power bank to recharge a battery that is in your camera, but you cannot use the power bank to power your camera and use your camera at the same time. So only to charge a battery, and once the battery is charged, you remove the power bank and then you can use the camera. And if you wonder why I didn't buy a Sony a6400, well, I just got a very good deal on the Nikon C50, and most importantly, I simply wasn't aware of all these issues, because even though I tried to watch all the reviews I could find in YouTube, none of the reviews I watched mentioned these shortcomings. That's why I'm doing this video, so that hopefully you don't end up having a camera that is not necessarily YouTuber, content creator friendly. And the final cons is the SD card is mounted in the bottom near the battery, like sort of old school system. If you have your camera mounted on a tripod because you do YouTube videos, and if you have a Nikon C50, you will have to buy an external monitor, and if you also use a sound recorder and an external microphone like me, you may end up having a bunch of cables attached to your camera. And this is why it's so annoying to remove and put back in the SD card. It's just really annoying. If it was on the side, like my old Sony a5100, such an old camera, and yet it had a flip screen and it had the SD card mounted on the side. It was so easy to put it in and out. But with this one, it's a little bit of a pain. As for the neutral point, it's just one, the kit lens. I'm happy with the kit lens. I think it looks good. Just check it out yourself. The problem with the kit lens is the aperture. It simply isn't a very bright lens. And the moment you start touching the zoom and you start zooming in, it goes relatively quickly to the minimum aperture, which is f6.3. And well, that's that, and I think you should know that. But other than that, I have to say in this regard, the Nikon kit lens is a lot better than the Sony kit lens. This was one of my considerations as well when I bought this camera, because I had a Sony a5100, and if I had bought the Sony a6400, I would have ended up having the very same lens that comes stock in the super old by now Sony a5100. So speaking of lenses, there are not so many lenses available for the Nikon C50. As far as I'm aware, there's only one lens available from a second-party brand, Samyang, made for the C50. Other than that, you have to buy the C-mount lenses that are designed for the bigger brothers, the C6 or C7. And the problem with those is, mostly for me, they are very expensive. Apparently, they're excellent lenses, like the best you can buy, sort of. But they're very expensive, and it's not worth for me because I only have 1,000 subscribers to my channel. Maybe if ever I have 100,000, I end up having some for free from Nikon, go figure. But as for now, I'm stuck to my 1650. But I have to say, I did know this from the beginning, and I bought the camera knowing that probably I wouldn't be able to upgrade my lens. But I'm fine with it, because I'm happy with my 1650 kit lens. Let's talk about the pros. There are a lot of pros to this camera. Firstly, it's a joy to use. It feels great in your hands. The materials feels like good quality. It really is very nice to have it on your hands. The menu is well organized. The touchscreen works flawlessly. I use it all the time. And by the way, the Sony a6400 has just a lousy touchscreen that only allows you to focus, like my old Sony a5100. With this one, you can use the touchscreen to operate all the menus, and you can scroll up and down, and you can zoom in and out like in a smartphone. The screen looks great in general, the colors, the brightness. You can use it outside, no problem. It has a good size to it. I think it's a fantastic screen. One more thing to add about the kit lens is that it's retractable, so that it's more compact when you're not using the camera, but you have to do so manually. It doesn't take too long, it's super easy to do, and I actually prefer so, because if ever you have to pull out your camera and start recording, I remember the Sony kit lens being a lot slower to deploy than you can do with this Nikon kit lens manually. When it comes to the autofocus, I was a bit frustrated at the beginning, but then I managed to set it up correctly and now I would say it works flawlessly. I bet the autofocus never failed to focus on my face throughout this video, and it's been set to automatic all the time, like I show you. I think it works perfectly. I'm very happy with it, but you draw your own conclusions. All in all, I was very frustrated when I encountered all these problems that I mentioned in this video, but I still didn't send the camera back because there was something I really liked to it. It's just, as I said, it's a pleasure to use. On the moment you take it out there on the streets and you start filming with it, I think you'll be very happy. As of right now, I've only used the camera for filming outdoor once. I will put a card that should show up here in the corner, so you can check out that video. But again, it should give you an overall idea of what you can expect. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, well, that's awesome. That makes me happy. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.